entertainment. Uh, when I visited 1998, the Vegas, Las Vegas, where in US, I could see like a lot of all the people come and exchange. I think July I got some kind of call from saying like we formed the committee called Vegas. I think was wondering who is this, what is the Vegas all about. I think I was really surprised. Sometimes names actually will bring people together. Sometimes names can because always Las Vegas is make the people together. So first of all, I'd like to thank the team. Who I think I don't know maybe Mr. Raj, Vijay would have done this work. First of all, the name creation of Vegas. First of all, I really appreciate and before even that, where we were trying to do a lot of events, trying to do something like this, but couldn't able to succeed. I think in a very short notice, I think in the last, I think they worked almost 12 months to make it this kind of event, gathering together like students like this. Only it's possible, only in the entertainment media industry is possible. Otherwise, sir, I think, our IAS officer said actually all the students are coming. It's nothing but it's entertainment industry. You should join with us. Whenever you want a crowd, you can join with us. We can bring the crowd to you. Okay. So sorry, light noted. So coming back to Vegas, I always think two things. One is the entertainment industry. The other one is actually when I visited, I lost a very big order like about one terabyte hard disk cost about 1.5 crores those days. So that is the one thing I always. The second one is actually a lot of movies makes there actually. That is what these Vegas all about, Las Vegas all about. I think from there I think Las Vegas is transformed into the multiple scopes and opportunity. I think this show is actually definitely going to be the biggest show. It's going to be a continuous show is going to be coming from the Vegas. I think I wish all the best to all the committee members, especially like the people. I think this and the Vegas team. I think we're together working. The bringing together to the people. It's very awesome. So thank you. I just wanted to give one small note to all you people. If you're okay, maybe you can all stand up and give the standing ovation to this team. If it is all okay, please, please, please. Why this standing ovation? Because most of the stage people who sit here, and most of the people who's here at this side, all of them is mostly worked not less than 5 years or 2 years. They all worked more than 2 decades or 3 decades. Some people like I think put the work very hard. Say for example, I think I wanted to mention about Ashish. I think I know Ashish almost for 30 plus years. I think he's tirelessly working. I don't know what is what he's getting. I'm seriously like from the FICCI, I think he was fighting for FICCI visual effects. I think awards. I think if I'm right, I think he's a chair that time. I think 20. I think that time ICAT was sponsor also for the event in Bombay. I think generally happened. Sir, I think for the Tamil Nadu government, you have to initiate some awards for a visual effects society, especially because we should recognize the people of Tamil Nadu also, because a lot of people I think traveled across from India. I think working abroad, and even the recent movie I think Goat. I think the Archana Kalpagi was talking about. I think the studios actually mostly dominated the Tamil people. So I wanted the government to just take some kind of initiative and do the visual effects awards and animation awards, especially because film has been recognized. The visual effects and animation of gaming is not been recognized. Please do that, because only one award has been constituted in India so far, because the FICCI Frames does that. But I want something to also do that. This is for the government and for the student community, because as I always talk about, the student community is very important for India and for the global audience, because 40 years back, the people who left India, I think today they're dominating the world of of Fortune 500 companies. That means whoever studied engineering or maybe I think studied small schools. I think they're dominating the entire world. That means any top 10 people in Fortune 500 companies, there'll be Indians, there'll be South Indians, there'll be Tamil people working for that. So if I think the students all join together, do something in this industry, like this also can be possible, because 10 years back, the industry was different. 20 years back, the industry was different. About 30 years back, the industry was different. Now, the industry is actually it's globalized, very fast globalization. Every movie now spends are increasing. I think now people are talking about previously 5% visual effects or animation would be talked in the industry. Now people speak about at least 25%. I think 25% money has been spent on the visual effects industry. So the industry is actually grooming bigger way and bigger. I think where I think we need short of the student. By the way, I always believe the short skilling is not going to help you in a career building exercise, because most of the people speak 40 hours of education or 50 hours of education is not going to help you in a career, because 40 and 50 hours of education, what I'm doing it for children's at schools. That's what we do at schools. Start teaching on 40 years and 50 hours of education in school education. Suppose if you really wanted to pursue this education, it's a basically longevity. I told this industry is actually very long, 30 years, 25 years. People put today, I think they are the masters of the world today. So anything if you want to achieve, it's a longest education is very, very important. I think that is what I want to communicate to you, because soft skilling is not going to help in this industry. By the way, that's very important, because I think a lot of people won't accept this, but this is what I want to communicate to you. And the industry, blockbuster movies today, if you take about the from the Indian or whatever it is, this is all actually highly contributed towards the visual effects. Actually, that's what you have to understand today. I think even the new movies, GOAT, I think that has also been highly visual effects based movie, because these are the movies are going to come in the future, because the world I think produce good visual effects movies close to around some 150 to 200 movies. But what we see only 10 or 15 good movies. Helping to see that also. Today, if you want really success, I think you have to work little hard, because nowadays I think students communities actually trying to work 5 to 6 hours, 8 hours is not enough. Basically, you have to work at least minimum 10 hours. I'm talking about who is going to really succeed in the career. Okay, so with this effort, the industry is big, opportunities are big. I think all the team members are working, towards promoting this kind of event. Is also very, very going to come big. Participate in all the events. That's what I wanted to, advise to all the student community. So it will be very, very good for you guys. Thank you very much, because they told me it's running out of time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kumar sir. Thank you so much for your insightful speech. Next, we'd like to call upon Mr. Ashish K, Chairman of FICCI AVGC XR Forum, to kindly say a few words for us.
A very good morning to all of you, my friends, dignitaries on the dais, and dignitaries of the dais. All the students, it gives me a great pleasure to be here with you today. And let me tell you, my whole journey of animation, gaming, visual effects, comics started actually when I was in advertising. I was a CEO at Mudra Communications, and then I came to know that there is Chanda Mama in Chennai, and in 1990 it got shut down, and that used to be my favorite magazine when I was growing up. And then it so happened that I met few people who were in animation in the US, and they said that animation is going to be very big, but India needs to actually start, and it's all about drawing and painting and sculpting, and that's how you can make your career in animation. And I came back and I was constantly thinking. And then came an opportunity that I came and met Mr. Vishwam Reddy here and told him that why don't we start Chandamama again? And he said that I don't have artists anymore, I've grown old. But by that time, there was another opportunity for me to be in Hyderabad with one of the first studios that we started, and there was a big studio here called Pentamedia. And Chennai actually showed the way as to how animation can be done to the world from India. And they were one of the biggest studios in 90s that we can think of. Uh, Probably many people in the world were surprised as to how big that studio was. And many of you have worked into that studio. And that's how it gave birth to uh, the character animation. People used to talk about animation, lamination, and a whole lot of things. But that's where we actually uh, started doing a large amount of technology work along with arts. And that's where the 3D animation actually began in a very big way in Chennai, whereas some of the other cities were doing 2D animation. And that's how Chandamama we restarted in the year 1997, and today it's still going on. Then I contacted Uncle Pai, who used to create Amar Chitra Katha, and then we got Amar Chitra Katha characters into animation, and then we got Little Krishna, Little Chota Bheem, and rest of the characters. But while we were doing this, we were mostly services industry. But let me tell you one thing today. When I coined this word called AVGC in 2000, it was very futuristic, and people thought that something like this would never happen. But 25 years now, we have the Prime Minister of India talking about it from the Red Fort. We have many countries naming their industry as AVGC XR. And the skills that AVGC XR has today has a lot of relevance. I will quickly tell you why, because we have very short time. Today we are living in the world of digital content ecosystem. And when I say digital content ecosystem, all of you have cell phones. India has got 60 million cell phone users, and by 2026 December will be 900 million active smartphone users, and that gives us a big power. That power is something which is not there with any other country. At one point in time when we were kids, we used to read storybook, comic books and newspapers. Then came a digital era where we used to read Wikipedia page and we used to read newspapers on our cell phones and the laptops. But today you want to consume news or any information in the form of a video. And anybody and everybody who has gone to school and not gone to school still want to actually consume that content into their own language. So one of the V's that is going to be very powerful is the video. The second V that is going to be very powerful is going to be called vernacular. And the third V is called the voice, because the voice is the medium today that you call up and talk, and people actually who don't know how to read and write give a voice command and still get the information. So for anything and everything, you actually go to your digital ecosystem and search for the content and know that content, and this is consumed through the videos. And who is going to create those videos? So you are the guys who have joined this industry of storytelling, although you may call it AVGC, XR, film, whatever, but you are in the business of storytelling and you are in the complete career of storytelling. So please tell the best stories to the world and make sure that you are a part of the digital content economy and the digital content ecosystem. And by telling these stories, you will make sure that you have an impression of India as a very powerful hub. We are now 2.5% of the global market, but we would like to be almost around 8 to 9% or 10% in the next 5 to 10 years. And we are going to require more than 20 lakh people to come and do this with us to ensure that we reach that figure. And let me tell you, within the media and entertainment industry, today we are around 25% of the total industry in AVGC XR. But in the next 10 years, we are going to be more than 50% of the total universe of media and entertainment. So welcome and join us with creating AVGC XR as a big hub in India. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anil sir. Thank you, and very, very warm welcome to Ma'am Kiran Prasad, Executive in charge of IIM. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. Requesting all our dignitaries to kindly join us for a group photograph so that we have a wonderful memory. And a big apology on our behalf. We would have loved to hear each one of you speak, but we are running on a very, very tight schedule. So please kindly excuse us for the same. And we'd love to hear you sometime soon. We are going to be doing this, I think, very regularly. And thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Please let's have a nice. Let's have our office bearers also joining us for the photograph. Mr. Aragar Swami, Mr. Lenin. Yeah, please. Requesting our office bearers also to join us for the group picture. Yeah, let's have a nice smile at the cameras, please. We'd like to thank each and every one of our esteemed guests for taking part in this wonderful, unique ceremony. And ladies and gentlemen, we have officially begun Vegas Fest 2024. A huge bunch of exciting agendas ahead, and we're going to have a great time over the next 2 days. Like I told you, we're going to be exposed to so much, and we're going to expose to so much of learning and lots of magic as well. Requesting our dignitaries to kindly join us downstage as we clear the stage for our first presentation. Thank you so much once again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Thank you and for sharing your knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Okay, how many of you in the house, how many of you like Tamil movies? How many of you like Vijay movies? Not Vijay movies, Talapati Vijay movies. Unna Jora, come on, Talapati Vijay movies. Well, since all of you love Dalapati so much, our first session has something to do with Dalapati. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you have seen Leo? Everybody talks about the amazing visual effects of Leo, especially the extremely real looking hyena, right? But there are so many scenes in the film where you don't even know it's visual effects. That's an even better visual effect. So, our first masterclass on stage this morning is by MPC. They're going to be showcasing the behind the scenes visual effects from Leo. And to do that, I'd like to call upon Mr. Ramakrishnan to kindly join us on stage. Rajarajan Ramakrishnan. My bad. Mr. Rajarajan Ramakrishnan, sir. Sir and his company are responsible for some amazing visual effects in Leo. Kaitat Mandingla. Rajarajan, sir.
Thank you. Morning, everyone. Vanakkam, Chennai. Again, a little bit of nervous because this is the first session and I've done many of these, but this is probably the biggest. So bear with me, be nice with me. So I just wanted to present the work that we had done for the 2023 blockbuster Lokesh Kanagaraj's vision of Leo. Before that, I just wanted to take a quick moment about and explain who we are. So we are MPC, stands for Moving Picture Company. It's part of a technical group. We've been doing this for more than 35 years for the global audience. Obviously, there is an option to extend that to why not we do it for our Indian audience and very specifically to the Tamil audience. So this was a very unique experience. Again, the piece we worked just about the hyena sequences. but the movie had a lot of visual effects. I'm sure Phantom did a fantastic job of doing the chase, and then there are other vendors. So this is a great example of how even in India, when these large movies come in, how we collaborate across multiple studios and how we engage as partners and stuff like that. So before we go into try whether this works. Yeah, that works. So yeah, before we go into a very specific discussion about Leo and then the hyena sequence, I probably want to play what we generally do. As you can see, we are a global studio with 9 locations across the globe, primarily contributing to the Hollywood industry and market. I'll just play it with the reel. Could we get the lights down, please?
Are you sure you want to do this, Ben?
As sure as I've ever been.
Mr. Rangers!
Right. So as you can see, that's us. That's what we do for the regular. That's our bread and butter in terms of visual effects. But again, like I said, it's very rare that some of these opportunities to okay, while we do this, most of the work what you see predominantly contributed from our Indian talent, like many in the room. But again, like I said, you can do all this, but then when you go home and then tell your mom and dad that I worked on such a thing, probably they would not relate. But then once you go ahead and then tell them I'm working on Vijay's movie and stuff like that, obviously it creates a lot of buzz. So that's how unique Leo was a show for to us. So this all started with a commercial one of our group studio had done, The Mill. We had done a small hyena in one of those commercials. Lokesh as a director, he has a very keen eye to see the details, and he is very excited to see a photoreal finish which was done many years ago. And then he was like, okay, who has done? And then he started doing some research, and then eventually found out it was one of the technical group studios had done. And then the news reached, and then he reached out to us, and obviously he knew. And then the team of Lokesh, they're extremely great assistant directors and very technically oriented folks. And then they did the research, and then somehow they reached out to us, and then they knew, okay, MPC is in India, so how about we approach? So it's all started in a very informal way. We had very early conversations about it, and by then the good thing about is, I always say, every end product we see, most of us we see the end product, but then there is a lot of preparation and planning goes in. So the better the planning, obviously the product is far superior, and eventually the process of creating those images are also better. So again, this animatics was purely done. The storyboarding was done by the team, the production team, which is Lokesh and his team of ADs, assistant directors, and art direction team had done this. And then this is the first piece they showed us, right? So again, for the people in this room, again, pre-production is the key, planning is the key, the vision is the key. As long as you know what you wanted to do, and the rest is left it to the professionals. Like, that's where we come in. Okay, you know, you need a hyena, you need to put into certain actions. The how is our expertise, right? The studios will come in and make, but then what is something has to come from the creators, which is in this case the directorial team. So as you can see, this is a very early. Again, things would have changed quite a bit, but it's just a great starting point. It all started with the simple idea of, okay, there is these lone creature which is, you know, it is worried. You know, the hyena is not in fact trying to attack, but it is probably its last. It is in a this is something, you know, as you can see, this animal lives in the wild. When it comes to the domestic areas, and this is the animal is freaked out, and obviously people are freaking out. It's a little bit of a chaotic nature of this entire sequence. But again, when we started discussing when we sat down on the pre-production meeting, this played a pretty big role of what is obviously the angle of the camera, the composition, the technical details are all far off from the final output, as you would have seen it. But again, like I said, everything starts from a basic idea of what the vision is going to be.
VEGA மட்டும் போட்டுருக்காரு எஸ் போடணும் இந்த டவுட்ல நீ விஸ்வான வேண்டிய கேட்டுக்கணும்
That's a pretty, again, this is like I said, this is what we do, and we have seen a lot of animatics, and I must say this is a pretty detailed work in terms of the composition, scale, and even to a certain degree to the action. So again, the pre-production team had done a pretty good job. All right. So moving on, as any show, again, now we know, we've engaged it, we've seen the work, all the formalities were done. We said, okay, let's go ahead and then let's do this. But again, the team had a very specific hyena in their head, right? There are, I'm not sure how many of you are really familiar with the specific creature, but they are very unique, right? You don't find them as often as in any normal forest in India, but there is a very specific forest within that they live in. So again, he wanted the Asiatic version. There are very specific breed lives in the Himalayan range. So they were very wanted this spotted hyena, which is very specific to our country and stuff like that. As you can see, there is a lot of references we put together. We started interacting. Okay, what are we talking about? Which is the color we are going for? What is the body scale? What is the formation? And how are we talking about the facial expressions are going to be and stuff like that. So there is quite a bit of time and energy was spent. Again, like I said, this is all in the planning stage. Doing the work, animating them, rendering them, lighting them, simulating the fur is probably the easier part. As long as you have the idea, you know what character, what's going to be the color of the fur, what's going to be the size of the eye, all those details are extremely important. So we've spent enough time discussing this, going back and forth. Our art direction team in India started shaping up. We started putting some mood boards, having some very fascinating conversations. While the team, so we had our VFX supervisor, our in-house VFX supervisor, Jatin, who had gone to the shoot. The shoot, obviously, as you know, this all happened in Kashmir. While the shoot was happening, since we have already, before they went on to the shoot, we already knew what's the breed is going to be, what specific breed and how it's going to look. So we started building the asset production in our studios. Primarily the asset built at our Bangalore studio. The team started putting things together. Okay, how does, since we know now, we start getting the proportions right, we start getting those internal muscles and the rig systems and start getting those. This is, again, like I said, this is what we do. As you would have seen in the reels, NTC is known for very photoreal creatures and characters. So this is something that our team is extremely familiar with. But the real crux of it is you need to build this specific character the crew is looking for. Again, the details, this is our proprietary rig system. There is a lot of information goes, there is a lot of programming is involved, and there is a lot of automation is involved during at this stage. This is again, just getting those assets built, again, because it is going to be in a snowy environment, you need to start putting those ice particles on them and stuff like that. So that's our general asset production. And then this is how the eventually, the one, as you can see, some of those details that we wanted to follow that from the mood board, and that's the character in our own turntables, right? So you just put them in the right lighting condition, and as you know, this is generally kind of in the movie also, it is being shot on a little bit of an overcasty scenario. So again, we started early collaborating. While this was all getting done, the shoot is still in progress. So we were having continuous calls with the director and the directorial team, the ADs, and of course the DOP of the Manoj. Again, he played a crucial role of identifying all the details and stuff like that. Here again, now it's time. Now you've got the character. Obviously, the character is not going to do. It's a photoreal finish. It's just going to be growling and then probably attacking and stuff like that. So the facial expressions needs to be kept intact. Some of these general calisthenics, you say, okay, how does it open? What does happen? What is the influence it's going to have around the mouth? And what happens to the wrinkles? So this is, again, it comes from a lot of experience by building characters and creatures for so many years. Now, of course, now we know, now that comes in, now you have a character which is being kind of approved at this point. Technically, we have rigged the character. That means you've got the muscle system working, you have these general calisthenics working. Now, we need to put that into test, right? It has to work first, because we cannot take this directly into the shots and say, hey, animators, take this and start animating. It doesn't work like that, right? So we needed to, between the rigging and then the asset production and the animation, you needed to build a bridge. So you need to create enough time and space for them to interact with each of those departments and then put the characters into test. As you can see, the one on the left, that's one of our references from the shoot. Then the rest is all, these are all some footages from the Discovery channels. Okay, how does that behave? And as you can see, as a simple rig structure, the foreground or the front legs are a little bit longer than the back ones. So they have a very unique walk. The way they attack is very different. Again, like I said, this is something which we don't get to see. So we needed to familiarize the animators, the animation director himself needed to get familiarized with the character. So these tests are really important in terms of getting to know the character, getting to know check the system and make sure that it works and it does various. This is a simple shot, but that's where the devil lives in the detail, right? Because you needed to make sure that it's making a character run is probably easier, but then making the character blink an eye on extreme close-up is the hardest, because every human would know how an eye blink looks. So just getting that details is very important. So this is early on. test we started doing it. Again, this is all happening internal. The team is still not exposed. The director or the team, the production team has not seen any of these. This is all the team is internally testing all of it to make sure that they get comfortable with the character. Obviously, now we wanted to make sure that now post animation, this is where the real difference between, you could say, a photoreal finish versus a product is not being done to that level, where again you have done the primary animation. Now the secondary animation, the way how the fur is going to be moving, the way how when the wind blows, what's going to happen to the tail, the long fur in the tail, what's going to happen when the character is running in the snow, what happens to the muscles to it. So all of those details will get tested into our tech and other in different studios have a different terminologies, character effects, creature effects, tech and it all goes in the same. Now we are talking about the physical simulation of it. Like you have a character which is being animated by an artist, but now you are letting some of these physical sims to come in and make sure that the dynamics are perfect. So here we are talking about, as you can see, the top main where there is a little bit of a sim running in, and then the internal muscles and how that is affecting the outer fur groom. Here if it is walking, there are a lot of shots, it's walking and rolling. If it is chasing, okay, how does those things are going to be assimilated and emulated and stuff like that. Again, you have a performance, now you need to add all these detail to make it look that it is falling in place. Cool. All right, so now by this, now you have a character, you know how to animate, you know the performances, but nothing can be started unless until you have the plates, because this is a visual effects movie. There is a person who is going to be interacting with the character. Again, there is some interesting news while we were shooting this, and we were once in a while we were talking to the crew, especially with the DOP and our VFX group. And in one of those calls, actor Vijay, he himself was asking, because we were making him a lot of stunts, right? Again, the stunt directors, Anbari, they had done a fantastic choreography, as you can see. They knew exactly what they wanted, but you need to make the actor perform without the character being in there, right? He has to roll and he has to jump. He has to presume that there is. Again, this is a very typical in our industry. That's what we do in Hollywood. This is something, but then when we are bringing this to our industry and we are exposing a newer way of shooting this, because unless until now you have a CG character which we know how we can put into great use, but as long as you don't have, if you have a proper plate which has to go with the information, it wouldn't work. So the way how to shoot, how to capture the data, how to make the actor perform, and all of it came in. It is primarily, again, the cinematographer, the DOP, and the stunt directors, and our VFX supervisors, and of course the director of the film. So all of that to come together and make that performances. Once you would see some of those breakdown, how some of this is being shot and how it got integrated, and probably then we can have some few specific Q&A. I might need like lights down and probably pump up the volume, please. It was a little low last time. Thank you. Right. So yeah, it looks. Thank you. It looks by looking at this, probably it's like almost a year for us. I've forgotten already, but I remember there are some very interesting incidents when we were making this. The director was visiting us in the studio. I remember the first spin of the assets when we were showing him, hey, that's your asset, that's how it's going to look, and he had this very interesting thought and saying, really amazing. Will I get this in every shot of mine, right? He was extremely excited to know that, he again, I think in the initial days, and then for 2-3 minutes, he was very quiet. And I say, hey, Lokesh, is everything all right? What do you think? And his first expression is, hey, I didn't expect this to be coming out of this film. Thank you very much, and stuff like that. So the entire crew, and then there is this performance, the way how this has been all put together, even though there is the edit changes were continue to go on in the film. Philomin Raj, the editor of the film, again he played an extremely crucial role, and that's how it works, right? When you have a creative crew where you had the director with a clear vision, and the editor exactly know how he wants to time it, and then the cinematographer how he wants to really contribute and help them to achieve that goal, and then a stunt director who wants to get these performances, and then eventually the actor who did not cry. Again, like I said, it might look pretty easy, those things. Vijay as an actor has to go through multiple takes, right? So we had a dummy, we had another actor who is acting as hyena and stuff like that. So it wasn't easy. There is a lot of learning for all of them. Again, this is something we wanted to make sure that we could able to do this in India. We could able to provide this kind of visual effects, themes to our storytelling and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it. It's a kind of a short and sweet.